All right, welcome everyone. I will call this meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. This is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. I'd like to acknowledge the guests in the room. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Susan Peterson from KMUN. I'm the station manager there.
Claire Sabatka, I'm the director of the Library and Learning Services.
Nicole Clark, instructional design and technology specialist.
Excellent, thank you. And guests online?
We have online.
I know we have
Jim.
Jim. Would you like to introduce yourself? Jim, I see your hand.
Yes, I'm Jim Heffernan, a candidate for TBCC and I guess now a student at TBCC. I hope that does not a conflict. The audio is very bad for a home person. I think there are too many microphones unmuted.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if there's anything Cheryl can do about that or not. Well, welcome, Jim. We're glad to have you. And Gary, we're glad to have you.
Gary Bond.
It's Gary Bond, adjunct instructor.
Glad to have you here. And Taylor, is that right?
Taylor.
Yep. Hello.
Welcome. Eileen Casey White.
Hi, Title III Director and Dual Credit Coordinator.
Welcome. And Michelle.
You've got good eyes.
I'm totally guessing.
Right. Starts with an M.
Okay. Well, welcome. We're glad everybody's here. We'll move into the consent agenda and ask my fellow board members if anybody has any changes or questions about the meeting minutes.
No, I don't see any.
Any questions about the agenda tonight? No? All right, then let's move right into the personnel report.
All right, so the Vice President of Instruction recruitment has wrapped up, and so we are waiting to hear what the outcome on that is. Let's see, so the workforce support specialist position has been put on hold for now, depending on what direction the department goes. We hired an instructional support specialist and offered, and they accepted. So Matt, I will not say his last name.
Hatzfeld.
Hatzfeld. So I can do that because Papa could. Yeah. So they started today, and amazing resource, great with SQL.
Yeah.
So
They have
Aaron was
amazing
so excited.
skills.
Yes, so we will try and keep them in Office of Instruction before carrying him away to do other fun things. So, very skilled, great hire. So, the full-time faculty education instructor, we're getting a lot of applications on that through higher ed. So I believe they're getting a panel together to look at those soon. And for the full-time faculty associate nursing instructor, we just closed that one and we'll be making an offer.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? No? All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, now we have an invitation for public comment available at the beginning of the meeting. It's an opportunity for the public to comment on any issue within the jurisdiction of the TBCC Board of Education. Do we have anybody who'd like to make public comment? Hearing none. Hello.
I just would. I've got a wild hair to get my associate's degree after 60 years of taking college classes, and I've been doing business with the college, and I've been very impressed. That's all.
Thank you. That's a nice public comment.
Yeah.
And good for
Thank
you.
you, Jim.
Okay,
Great to hear the positive.
absolutely. All right, any more public comment? All right, hearing none, we can move right into new business. And first up, we have Susan Peterson, who's the Director of KMUN Radio in Astoria, and she's going to give us a presentation about the KTCB radio license. Susan, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Like Mary Kay said, I'm the station manager. I'm the executive director of the nonprofit that holds the license for KMUN, KTCB, and another station out of Warrenton. It's KCPB. We own 3 licenses, and it's the dream job of my life. I've been at the station for 13 years. I've been the station manager for 3, and we are growing. We are expanding our staff. We've just rebooted all of our broadcast equipment, and we have translators up and down the coast. So the way that Tillamook gets our radio signal is from our little station in Astoria. It's right behind Fort George. It's in like a very cute Victorian house that a woman gave to us over 40 years ago, or about 40 years ago. And that signal goes over to across the bridge to a place called Megler Mountain, and there's all kinds of towers up there, and it shoots the signal down to a tower here on, am I pointing west?
No, that's west.
West, okay, west.
I wouldn't have known the difference.
On Cape Mears, the tower is on Cape Mears, and there it is. It's up on Cape Mears. There's a lot of other towers and a lot of other antennas and such, and we rent a space there for the KTCB signal. Now, in between those two, these are, this is a separate license, but we just rebroadcast KMUN on it. And I'll get more into that in a little bit. And then we have a translator in Cannon Beach, because radio signal doesn't go through Rock, it doesn't go through Tillamook yet, so we got a translator there. It doesn't go through Rock at Neocani, so we have a translator in Wheeler and covers that whole area. This tower here, this tower here, the signal goes from Rockaway Beach to Pacific City and all the way this way, so it really covers your county very well. Okay, let's go through this first. I don't know if it's very interesting. So I put this one so maybe you could tell like where this tower is. It's over on Cape Mears, and you go up a really cool logging road and do it. Now this is the antenna for KTCB right here. This is it. It's a little. We just had a tower climber go up there and do put some new equipment up there. It had been broken by some ice falling, and it's all back to normal and really good. Go to the next slide. This is inside the building where we have our rack with the broadcast equipment on it. We'll see a picture of that in a minute. This is something that we rent from SBC. It's a huge company in the United States that rents tower space to people, and this is in a container that's up on the site, surrounded by a fence and a lock, and it's very secure. And the building, of course, is secure. I don't know if you recognize. Oh my gosh! Now I've forgotten her name. So Sadie. Sadie, yes. When she was a reporter for the Tillamook Herald in 2014. That was a few years ago. Our volunteer Ray brought us down here, and we looked at it. It was so foggy that day you couldn't even see the tower. It was so foggy up there. But
is it an imagination or is that a mirror image?
It is. Yeah. Okay, so here is the rack. It's called. This is all equipment that comes with the KTCP license that we're going to give you. I don't know the names of anything. I'm really bad with the technology. I really just kind of run the part of it, but this is all up-to-date stuff. It's got everything it needs in it. It's got an EAS, that's an emergency alert system program to it. It's got automation. It regulates the power going to the antenna. And it's something that is checked every month by a radio engineer, just to check the levels. And that's how we knew that that antenna needed a new part because some of the levels were bad. So, the nice thing about being in this building is that, there's lots of racks and there's lots of radio stations up there. And so all the engineers look at all the stuff. And some engineer just called us and said, hey, you're looking pretty hot. You better get down here. So, all right, next slide. This is our studio in at KMUN. This is where this is where all the information for KTCB comes from. This is DJ Fabergé doing a radio show, but as you can see, you know, this is a pretty simple board. You know, you need a few computers you need at least 2 computers in this room. We have a lot of microphones because we do a lot of interviews and stuff. These are CD players. We have 3 or 4 of them so that there can be a CD and then another one tuned up from when that one ends, and we got to push the button at the right time. Behind here, you can't see, but there's 2 turntables. And then it looks like a sound radio booth with really those big thick windows that like studios have for soundproofing and stuff. And that's in one corner of our little program. And then next slide is a bigger view of that room. This is there's been at least 10 people, you know, like 1 programmer and like 9 musicians in there. The drums set up in this corner, and you know, it's crazy. They should have made it bigger, but it was the kitchen of the house when we got it. So that's you know, and these live programmers, this is Side Eye. She's actually doing this as a volunteer gig, but she also works at the radio station. She's our graphic artist and our communications person. So that's the studio. So why would we give away a radio license? They're worth a lot of money. They're worth 20, 25, 30, you know, it depends on demand. We figured this one's worth about $25,000. Well, about 50 years ago, radio station KBOO out of Portland, some of you might be familiar with it. They came to Astoria and said, we want to start a studio here. We want to rebroadcast KBOO here. And so they gathered up a bunch of community members, and those community members decided after a few meetings, like, this radio thing sounds really good. Well, we're going to do it on our own. So thank you very much, you know. And they started working on KMUN, and KMUN's been on the air. It'll be 43 years next month. And when it's really volunteer run. Every voice you hear, except for our news people, they're paid staff. Every voice you hear on KMUN is a volunteer. We have 120 volunteers that come in and out of the station every month to do a show. Most of them do a show every other, week, like Monday morning, and then, like Monday morning folk, and then 2 weeks later they do another show, and then there's someone else who does the same thing. It's really a good thing because it's if someone's sick or whatever, there's a backup person. But so why do we want to give you the station? For the same reason, the same beautiful thing that happened when KMUN started in Astoria. It gave Astoria a voice. It gave Astoria a way to talk about the culture, the history, to rebroadcast something from Portland as we do from Astoria to here. You're not getting the flavor. You're not getting your flavor. You're getting Astoria flavor. We try so hard not to say down in Tillamook because we want to be all inclusive, but it's hard not to say that because it's down, it's just like you probably say up in Astoria, right? Anyway, we want you to have your voice and to bring out your voice and to have your community members and to have everybody heard. And let me just read what I have written down. Our first station manager was talking to me about, I talked to him about this about a year ago, and he said, what a good idea. Because what KMUN has done for Astoria, and not that Tillamook needs this, but Astoria was kind of a dying town 45 years ago. It was the fish industry was dying, the logging was going out, and people were wondering what they were going to do. And he thinks that KMUN had a decisive voice in making Astoria a rich cultural art center for art, music, history. you can't go to all the cultural and art events anymore because there's several a night and, it's a really, it defined the culture, it defined the history, it gave Astoria a sense of place, and I want you to have that too. It's a great place to launch artists. I just read that a gal, Alexis West, got a big grant because she's going to Florence, Italy to do an exhibit. She's from here. You'd be talking about her on the radio, that would be a wonderful thing. And then it also, it also creates a buzz for business. Businesses support community radio stations. They get the right, a customer that is educated, that's got some money. Typically, those are the people that listen to community and public radio. What it would do for the college is radio is the thing that the services are outward. We're not asking people to come in and do something. We're telling people this way. And it tends to have this big group. We have 120 volunteers. This could be your biggest department in this radio, in your college, talking about volunteers, talking about students that come in, talking about listeners. And that's all we could talk. All those people are the KMUN community, family, call it family. And that could be something that your new radio station creates. It motivates students to connect. They'll have something fun to do. Everybody likes to play with the equipment, the board and the microphones. And, we're starting a program now where we're going to be a podcast hub. And we hope that turns younger people into radio. And we've got more and more young people coming all the time. It's fascinating. They think it's really cool, the retroness of it, But nobody has a radio in their house anymore. But let's see. It provides professional growth opportunities. Maybe that person isn't going to go into radio. That student that was the station manager for a year. That's how most community radio stations in colleges handle it. She can go off and say, I did this very professional thing and I was good at it, and that looks good on a resume. Then the collaborations with other people in your county, and Mary Faith has told me that she's talked to many entities, the emergency people and stuff that are very interested in having this as an outlet for their message. And then, Clatsop County, Tillamook County, we're turning into news deserts. And a journalist might not always be a journalist for a radio station, but journalists aren't going to go away. At least we hope they're not, right? Please no. But it's, we always have kids that are interested in public affairs, and we have a radio club in our in Astoria High School that come and do a show once a month during the school season, and they learn how to do all the equipment and follow all the rules, and there's a lot of rules for FCC and stuff like that. But that's it. I mean, no, that's not it. It never ends. The good feeling that a radio station can give a place. And there's a lot of opportunities to listen to a lot of other things right now, but radio has stayed stable for decades. There's listenership is not dropping down. It's kind of amazing. We were just a part of this huge nationwide survey that did all radio. They did a section of public radio, which is like an OPB, and then they did a section that was community radio. And guess who came out on top for all the good things? Community radio. Yay. So people are listening and they care, and they're going to get good information about their town. And that you can't get on, I can't even think of some of these things, like Spotify or whatever, or Sirius or those things. You just don't get that local stuff. So any questions? Ask them. Okay.
So Tillamook already has a radio station, KTIL. How would this, and that's a voice of Tillamook, and I don't see lots of people sitting in their studio playing violins, and how How is this gonna be different?
This is gonna be different. This is, they're a commercial radio station. We're a non-commercial radio station. We have an education. It's an educational license. You have to have in your mission that it's part of your mission is to educate your community. And not that KTIL doesn't do that, but you know, we have a lot of radio stations in Astoria as well. They're not as active as KTIL is. And I would say we should talk to KTIL too and see how we could collaborate. I have heard that they're very receptive to this switch. So, but I would want you to talk to them about that before you make a decision for sure. Just so you're on the same page and everything. The difference would be the students.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Paul asked me to talk
Well,
about.
no, I just generally want to say, you know, I live in North County more, and we listen to CAMUN all the time. I love CAMUN, and it's definitely driven by all its volunteers and the people in the community. It's a community station. In fact, you have a pledge week this week.
It just started today.
And
Help with your donation.
yeah, but I mean, how about Johnson Community College? I mean, is that kind of silly because you're right there?
Well, this is a license that broadcasts here in this area.
Yeah.
We have had cooperation or collaborations with Clatsop County. They're not, I mean, we could give them the KMUN license, but we couldn't give them the KTCB license.
Yeah, I'm just curious about Clatsop Community College.
Mhm.
Are they like saying, hey, what about us? That kind of thing. Are they interested in a radio station also?
No.
This radio station is for Tillamook.
Cape Fear.
When you have a license from the FCC, your radio station is for this area and this area only. And
Oh,
we
okay.
keep track of that very well. So we have KTCB down here, we have translators in the middle, and they kind of circle around each other, across each other too. And then KMUN is up here.
Okay.
And yeah, you've got a community radio station at Bay City Arts Center, KAYN.
That's right.
Yeah, they're a low powered, so theirs only goes about 5 miles. This is a 400 watt. It covers this whole valley, like I said, up to Rockaway and down to Pacific City.
And
No, go ahead.
well, I think of a couple of things. You asked about KTIL. I mean, I think the mission is very different. I think much more aligned with that of the one in Bay City is a KAYN, is that what it is? And I know Nicole's active with them, and I would see a partnership with them, right? In terms
And they're really ready to
of,
partner with you.
in terms of community radio, I would see us not competing, but complementing the services from KTIL. It's just a different philosophy, right? And you know, again, being more community focused. I mean, that's that picture, right? And being able to, I think, contribute to that pieces that are needed to make a community vibrant. We have lots of them in this small little town of Tillamook, right? I mean, we have a hospital, we have a higher education institution, but to be able to have the ability to communicate more broadly, right? And to create a greater sense of community around that, I think having this ability it really speaks to that piece of it. Yeah.
Well said, thank you. Yeah, we actually offered this to KAYN. We have a cooperation with them. We've shared equipment with them as they got started. We've helped them with their studio. We've recorded shows from there, lots of things, and it didn't fit their budget. It was not something. They have the folk bar house, yeah, and that was their major money thing right now.
So you're willing to give us this license. Does it come with all that equipment that I'm seeing on the screen there? And
Not the studio equipment. We do have some that we can give you. Like I said, we just updated all of ours. So we have a lot of backups and we're willing to help with all that. It does include all the stuff at the tower site. That's the expensive stuff, to tell you the truth. The transmitter, that's the expensive thing. It's $5,000 or $6,000. That's, that kind of thing. But, yeah, no, we're gonna help with that every way we can with getting you set up.
So just a quick, looking toward the future then, so we need to design or arrange a studio where we're going to have all the equipment, right? Somewhere either in this building or in the other building.
The southwest corner of the new building. Southwest there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's north,
That's,
he's southwest.
yeah, southwest. That would be the perfect because you would need your antenna here, a short antenna with the broadcast, thing to be able to see the antenna on Cape Mears.
All right.
She already marked it out when she was on the
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah, I measured it out, 1, 2, 3.
So Susan, could we, it may be a silly question, but could we change it to TBCC?
I think you can, yes.
Yay,
Yeah.
that would be great.
That's a long one. Hey, TV.
KTC, yeah, KTCC. That's
TBCC, TBCC.
No.
No, it's only
Too
4.
long.
Only at 4.
Yeah.
If you could do
TBCC.
TV.
But you can brand it any way you want. Look at
Yeah.
OPB, they dropped the K.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They're OPB.
right.
They're not KOPB, that's really what their station is, so.
Just quickly, so organizing the people who are in the studio, the engineers, whatever, the broadcasters, who will be in charge of that? That would be right here, that we organize something to be able to have the station run on a regular basis.
Other college stations use students.
Yeah.
And they bring them in and train them, and that's really all it takes. A program director is what you're talking about.
Yes.
That's the cat herder.
Right.
And making sure people show up for their shift
Right.
and that kind of thing. And you'll find that, well, what I have seen at KMUN anyway, is that people are super passionate about it. The people who come in and do this are passionate about it. They show up every time. They have done it we have people at the station now 43 years later that started there.
Wow.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
There's a whole group of them. There's like 45 of them. Like, yeah.
That's great.
And we happen to have a current employee sitting over there in the blue sweater who, her dream job would be yours, actually.
Okay, all right.
So, and who has experience and.
If you're IT, then you really need to be the operations person, which is computers talking to computers. That's what a radio station, we just hired a new operations person and, nobody, the radio engineers, chief engineers are really, there's not very many of them anymore. And we hired, I called one of our contract guys and said, who should I hire for this job? And he said, someone who knows how computers talk to each other. And that's what she knew. And she's doing great. She's gotten her first level of certification for her chief engineer position. It takes about 5 years to get. But yeah, it's so that would be something that you would want to budget for, is to have, like, we have a chief engineer that's on contract with us, that when we call him, because when you're off the air, that's the worst thing that can happen to a radio station, when someone turns to your station and you're not there, and they're like, what happened to him? And it's also an FCC rule that you have to be on the air for like 36 hours a week. So, an engineer person or IT person who's keeping an eye on that kind of stuff is someone that you would want to hire. You would also want to hire someone who does you have the perfect setup. You have an administration with people who do the money part, pay the bills, and people who, if you want to do fundraising on that, that could be a student job. The station manager part could really be a student job as well. It's not that hard, no.
Yeah, that's what they always say.
My hair was brown when I started.
Yeah. So I'm wondering about the time frame. So let's say you give us this license tomorrow. We don't have these people, these volunteers, these whatever. I assume you would give us some support for a while, But what does that look like and for how long is a while?
Yeah, good question. So it takes about 4 to 6 months for the FCC to say that's okay. So once you make a decision, we have 4 to 6 months really before it's gonna become your radio station. We have that time for Jason to finish the building and to get the studio set up there. We have already made a list of all the programs that we can share with you, and we will. And seriously, when you start, you have to do 36 hours of broadcast a week just to stay on the
4 to
air.
6 months from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're giving you enough to do that. We would give you way more than you need for that. There are free programs where you can get radio, you bring it in through automation on like satellites, or even they come in through the computer. Those are something you just put up, and you can't tell, but we have a lot of automated, like all the NPR stuff that we run, that's automated. That's something that comes in on this big satellite dish that's in our front yard, because it's really old school, and comes into the station and just goes into automation and then starts at exactly the right time, at 8:01 and 17 seconds, like that kind of exact. But that's another cost that you would need to do is to find some automation. Our automation cost about $5,000 when we renewed it when we bought new stuff about 5 years ago. We have a very complicated system. We have the most complicated radio in our chief engineers say in the state, because we have live broadcasting, we have automation that needs to work here, live broadcasting, so there's nothing until that that person opens the mic and starts talking, and then we have stuff coming in through a computer and all that kind of stuff. It's really, I don't understand it. I really sound like I do, but I don't. But it's not, a simple automation that's a few $1,000s, a one-time deal. There's lots of community radio stations. I belong to a nonprofit that's called Oregon Community Media. And it is our mission to help radio stations come on board with education and help with technology. And we also share a lot of content from all over the state, which is really exciting. KBOO lets us broadcast the Blues Festival. How cool is that? KMUN is gonna start sharing the Fisher Poet Gathering with everybody. We used to share the classical music festival that happened in Australia. Yeah, so there's lots of shared programming. That's free.
Wonderful. So we wouldn't actually have to start producing our own content for a while.
Right. Yeah, got lots of time. Can practice. KMUN, when we started ours, I guess we broadcast for like 3 hours in the morning, and then we went to dead air, or I don't know, dead air probably had something on in the background, and then for like 3 or 4 hours, they trained people in the studios and on the mics and the board and everything. And then we came back on later in the afternoon until, 10 o'clock or something. Not very much. I mean, we're on 24/7 now.
And you're also connected with NPR.
We buy NPR products.
You
yes.
buy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to do that. If we lose funding, like it's really inevitable that we're going to drop NPR because we won't be able to afford it. It's very expensive.
Is that federal funding? Are you worried about
The
this?
CPB funding, yeah. It's always something. I know.
So am I right in thinking that a lot of, let me back up for a second. In my vision of how a radio station works, I think is outdated. So in my vision of how a radio station works, it's like that, like somebody's in the booth running things. But am I correct in thinking that now it has transitioned to where it could be largely remote? It could be, we could have volunteers pre-programming, recording stuff that was played later. It is, people aren't tied to the booth anymore. Is that right?
Right, that's correct. There are really neat little kits. We buy some that are called broadcasters that during COVID, we sent around to all our programmers and they would record shows on little SD cards and that's how we have it. Then, there are things called tie lines where you can be in a totally different place and talk right into the radio. A lot of our shows do pre-record because they're, especially our public affairs, because their guests can't make it to the station in those 9 to 10, our public affairs run from 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning. So often they're recorded as well. Yeah.
It's exciting. I see so many possibilities, so many opportunities for students, for the whole community, but especially for students.
Right.
Business,
much fun.
communications, marketing, all of those things. It's really could be very dynamic.
What I say about KMUN is we're a resource center that just happens to be a radio station.
It's a good way.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Okay, any more questions? I'm
Well,
gonna leave my
yeah.
business card with my phone number and my email address, and I want anyone who has a question to contact me. Happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna run, so I'm sorry. I live in Seaside and I want to get home before it gets too dark.
I don't blame you. But before we wrap, we have a couple board members online.
Oh.
Mary or Tamara, do you have any questions for Susan?
I don't have any questions. I really appreciate the discussion and it seems like such a great leadership opportunity. And our young people are missing out on communication experiences. Just to get people to answer the phone at work is unique now and they're not comfortable. I suddenly have somebody panic. So radio, I think, gives a little bit of that opportunity and so many different pieces to that leadership puzzle. So I don't know. The more I think about it, that's kind of where I go from a employer standpoint.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions either, but I want to thank you, Susan, for being there and helping us all understand it a little bit better. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Susan.
All right. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Hope the rest of your board meeting goes swimmingly.
Safe drive.
What are you listening to on the way home?
Yeah. Let's drive. Jazz comes on at 6 o'clock.
You'll lose contact. Halfway through.
We're dancing on the way home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Betsy, you asked kind of next steps. I think,
Yeah.
what I would like, I'm excited by it. I think we put together what some of the costs might be and things like that we'd have to come up with, but really direction from the board that this is something that the board would support before I take it too much further down the road and commit ourselves to something that you don't want.
Hey, I'm curious, this isn't on the agenda, but I'm curious if Nicole would like to speak to the radio idea, would you?
It's funny, I was here for the events thing, but also I'm here for the radio kind of indirectly. As a student that went through community radio up in Olympia Chaos, like that changed. I spoke to you guys before on this, but it really made such an impact. So I can see students getting so much from this, community members. There's nothing else quite like it. And it does span so many different skill sets, opportunities, and it's just a place for community. And I think in a place like Tillamook County, there's so many opportunities. So I would love to help with it in any way. I think a lot of people would love it.
You did programming when you were at Chaos, right?
Yes, I started off as as a DJ, did front office, work, and then I eventually got my dream role there as a music director, so a lot of the programming stuff.
And Neocani High School has a program for audio engineering. And they're wanting to do, so they're on the technical side, the high school has equipment facilities.
Thank you, Nicole.
I have to ask, are those cassette tape earrings?
They are.
8 tracks too heavy?
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on now to our college council update with Claire Sabatka.
All right, thank you. I am Claire Sabatka, the director of the library and reading services. So I oversee the library, our testing center, and then our tutoring area. And I am chair of college council. I started this fall, taking over from Michelle, who has been excellent and has stuck around to help me out and answer questions. Next slide, please. So briefly, I just want to touch on kind of the current state of our membership and some changes to our structure that we've made. Some of our biggest tasks that we're focused on this year for the 2024-2025. Some chances we're taking the time to revise our charter with Paul Gerald incoming. He's been really great, but it's been a good time kind of with fresh leadership to take a look at our charter. There's been some things we've wanted to examine for a while. And we're hoping if we work on our charter, it'll allow us to better communicate with the community at TBCC and potential members. I have gotten the sense from a lot of people at TBCC, college council is sort of nebulous. What exactly do we do? So we'd like to be able to explain it better for folks. Next slide, please. So this is our current membership list, and I just wanted to show it before I talk about, some of what we've changed for membership. Right now we have 11 voting members. Paul is on a non-voting member. But our vice chair is Katie Nelson. She's an adjunct and also a tutor. And then Nicole is our secretary. And we'll be there for 2 years. Riley is on this year as our ASTBCC member, and that's really helpful. And I really appreciate Riley. You have come, and so has Carly. Oh, really? Yes, we've had a couple people coming this year, and that's been really good. So we okay, the next slide. So when we restructured our membership, we did add the secretary position, and that was partly, one, so council members could be more involved, but also so that Lori could take something off her plate. And I think it's kind of helped us to, do our own notes and kind of work through some of what's going on. We changed our membership structure so that we could, I think, more easily recruit members. It used to be we were trying to recruit someone from like each and every area of the college, or every department. And what happened was that sometimes we have areas where there's only 1 or 2 people. And then we never managed to get anyone, like facilities for a while. They just have a lot going on. So some departments are really stretched thin. And then other people didn't get to serve if they were from a bigger department. So we decided we'll have up to 14 voting members. And what we said was we don't recruit people from a specific department. However, we make sure there's a mix of staff so that no more than 40% of our staff members are above a director level. And then we have 3 faculty positions, a full-time, a part-time, and then kind of a faculty at-large member. So right now, I think we have a good balance, and we are getting some new members. We also kind of went to like a 2-year service term. That was unofficially what we had, but we made it official, and then people, if they want to, can remain on board. And then we'll do a regular recruitment as needed each spring. So some of our, per what we've done this year, and we still only meet once a month, and we didn't meet in December. But we had a lot of administrative rules this fall that we looked at and approved. We have probably more coming up. There weren't any program reviews this year, but I know we'll have more next year. One kind of big thing that we try to do is put a lot of our draft notes for the community, TBCC community in, there's a shared governance SharePoint. So we have a page there, and now we have our notes, our copy of our charter, membership list. We try and have a document on when are our meetings. I think we're still fine tuning that. What's come up is that, yes, it's out there, but there's a lot of staff who don't regularly use SharePoint. Not everyone knows how to get into it. So I think we'll continue to explore ways to better share with the community. Originally, the idea with having someone from each department was that they would report back to their department and then bring in news from their department. Because we don't have someone in each department, we really need kind of a center point to distribute information that we know people can get to. And then from now until the end of the year, I'll show you our charter. We are looking at some details with our charges. And what our main tasks are. Sorry. We did have one thing that came up that was kind of new for us is that we had someone bring a concern to College Council regarding communication about adjunct pay. So this was adjuncts asking council to review that and pass it on to leadership, which we did discuss that and do that in a memo. We haven't done that a lot. Like when we get people who do ask us to address things, that's been part of our charter, but we just don't get asked very much. So we're still kind of working through that, but this time it went pretty smoothly. Real quick. Share. Yeah, and back in that folder. We can do, yeah. So this is our charter. We had kind of revised it in 2024. Our purpose is largely stayed the same. We did update a section on membership. The one thing that we're focused on next is looking at our charges. We think that there's 1 or 2 things that College Council is supposed to do that are not on here, such as working with curriculum. There's some things we're supposed to approve. And there's a few things on here that have not come up in a while, so we're not sure, is this still part of what we want to do? How can we best serve the college? For example, should share a very clear document. for a long time, there's been a section on subcommittees or reporting committees. And as college council, we've talked about, how do we have committees come and report to us? What does that look like? How does it happen? That's been up in the air for while I've been at college council for reasons that college council chairs didn't have much control over. So now we're trying to, really review that and then find out what we need to do to better serve the college. So that's where we're at. Questions?
I don't know if I have questions, but I just want you to know I really appreciate this report, and I've been hearing about College Council for years. But I think this is the first time College Council has presented to us about your work and who you are and what you do, and so I feel like I've learned something, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Oh, you're
I
welcome. I was under the impression, I think Michelle may have done it before, so I don't want to count her work out, but
We don't
It
need,
was on the agenda last year. That's what I told Claire that when I asked her if you know, said it's so. It would be a champion. So maybe you just forgot.
yeah.
A lot goes on.
okay,
Well, we'll try and, I'm trying also to keep track of duties that aren't in the charter, that are things that the chair needs to keep track of, so I'll try and keep a note on, oh yeah, remember to, come to the board meeting once a year. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah. And apologies to Michelle if she did that last year and I forgot it.
Michelle who?
Keep grabbing.
The grant.
Okay.
Mainly.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, let's go on to item C, which is board policy 6340, bids and contracts. This is our second reading.
Yeah, so second reading, no changes since the first reading. The draft is in there from before. Basically is just aligning with what is required from state contracts, bids and purchases.
Board members, do we have any questions? Any discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I so moved.
Second, this is Tamara.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And so there will be an AR that goes to this that college council will get to agonize over.
Yeah. Goody.
All right, let's move on to item D, which is USDA telemedicine grant resolution.
Yeah, thank you. So we've had a couple people in this room. Cheryl in particular brought a grant opportunity to us a few months ago. The U.S. Department of Agriculture routinely has a grant that they put out that is for distance learning and telemedicine. It is to basically increase access to healthcare via either telemedicine, so grants that go to providers to be able to provide support through a distance, or to increase the number of healthcare workers by promoting distance learning and healthcare education. So we focused on the latter, this grant with looking at how could we better serve the county at creating a pipeline for healthcare workers by building out distance learning opportunities. In particular, what we are asking for in this grant, as written, is to be able to provide each high school, including Wilson High School, with the equipment necessary to be able to receive distance learning that may be here for their classroom. So basically having the technology like we've got here, excuse me, where students could be in a classroom, someone could be here teaching, students could be in a classroom, being able to receive that instruction at a distance. And then we would just be able to, then we would have to facilitate, how do we provide them with the clinical experience, right, past that. And it would also allow us to provide some technology in the new facility that we're building that would enhance our ability to be able to do distance education as well through, when you were on your tour, you saw where we were going to have a simulator for emergency medicine. It would allow us to be able to purchase that simulator that's on a trailer, much like our simulator for truck driving. We can take it wherever we can, do trainings that way and so forth. So that's what this is for. I do think the competition will be pretty stiff for this grant, so it's not a given. The proposal was very well written, and I think it does have a lot of good strong points for us as a rural county that is below has poverty levels below national and state averages. I think that there's a lot in there that speaks to that that would make it promising, but it's just the competition is pretty steep. There's a 15% match that would go with this. We have asked for, I think, right around how much?
930,000.
930,000. So our match would be in the $140,000 range, but that return is much better than I would get in any bank account. So I will gladly invest $130,000 to be able to bring back that much more there. One of the things that they asked for, or well, they didn't ask for it, but we felt would strengthen the support for this grant is a board resolution in support of the grant. And I won't read this to you to save time, but the resolution is there basically that just summarizes what I've mentioned. And we would ask for a board vote to support our grant application. If you support it, it would be signed by the chair, and Britta would include it with our proposal documents when we upload them.
Most of it's done today. If we get this today, I'll finish it up in the morning. So.
Great. Yeah, so if we have any questions between Cheryl, Britta, and myself, we could probably address most of them.
I have an overall question. Is there any danger of the USDA being chopped up?
Correct.
So that, I mean, I hope not, but things are in such disarray.
I think there's a couple things. I do think that the USDA is a federal agency that has been identified as, no pun intended, having a lot of pork in it, right? And so I do think that that's one that will be under scrutiny. The new chair or director or whatever for Health and Human Services, Kennedy, has been very vocal about his lack of trust or support for telemedicine, which this grant is obviously in support of. Our project is not in support of telemedicine, but more distance education. So I think that there's likelihood that this could not move forward with that agency. I will say, though, that the way the proposal was written and knowing the private funding sources that are out there for grants, it would be competitive for that. I mean, there's, Ford Family would be a classic one to go to, and MacArthur, there's a number around House. I mean, there's a number of private philanthropic organizations that I think we would shop this around with, and we will, and regardless. I mean, we'll start piecing that out and looking for other places to put this information.
Good. Keep trying.
Yes, we will.
Any other questions? Well, I certainly support this grant application.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I move that we support this grant application.
I second that we support this grant application.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item E, discussion of tuition and fees for 2025-2026.
Thank you. So this is the first read for our discussion of tuition and fees. This is in preparation for us to start developing our budget for next year and stay on schedule with our budget. The board has a practice, I don't know if it's stated in the policy anywhere or not, I can't recall, but of trying to keep up with inflation so as that we don't get too far behind, so we don't hit students with any great amount of tuition increases at any given point in time. And also a goal to stay as one of the most affordable community colleges in the state. We are asking for an increase in line of what's called the Higher Education Price Index, which is like the Consumer Price Index, but really just geared toward those indices or those things that affect inflation at higher education institutions. And that HEPI for 2024 is floating right now, right around 3.4%. They look at that quarterly. I haven't seen the most recent one, but for 2024, it's looking at 3.4%. I do think that will go up a little bit more. We are asking for what is roughly equivalent to a 4% increase. And we're recommending what would be a $4 per credit tuition increase and a $2 per credit increase to universal fees. So our fees would move from $136 per credit total tuition and fees to $142 per credit. I think, you know, our average student takes, let's say they take 10 credits per term. So you're looking at about a $200 or so increase over the annual expense that a student would pay. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see any increases to Pell. Hopefully we don't see any decreases to Pell with the current administration. I don't know, Rhoda, if you've heard any.
No, just that they're unlikely to increase.
Unlikely to increase, yeah.
Next year and the year after when they're in danger of reduction, so.
Yeah, I do think this, I don't know the extent it impacts a student's budget, as I mentioned before, but I do think that a good bit of this could be absorbed by either state or federal grants as well. But it allows us, I think, to scholarships and the like, and I think it allows us to again stay competitive. We most colleges are looking at having to cut budgets for next biennium and next year. As a result, most are looking at relatively, you know, 4 to 5% increases in tuition. So I think that this is probably in line with what other colleges will ultimately support. And still allows us to remain in the lower quartile for cost in the state.
The other thing is that since we're covering books still, this actually, there's still, overall cost will actually still be less than it would have been because they're not purchasing books.
That's great.
So it actually keeps it in there.
Yeah,
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
It does make a big difference.
and that has been, you know, we haven't really published that or put out there how much that we're doing that, but we are doing that for all but nursing. We've managed to be able to do that, and our nursing program just decided to change textbook packages that they're using to save students money, and it reduced it by
Almost 40% less.
almost 40% less.
It was cohort.
Yeah, so we're working towards that. This is, you know, I hate to say it, but it's an increase that in part, you know, it helped covers our increase in cost of doing business.
Right.
Yeah.
Mary, do you have any comments or questions?
I do have a question. What is the lowest tuition in the Oregon community colleges, and what is the highest?
I can give you a rough range. I'll tell you this, I'll get you the exact numbers for sure. I'll email that to Mary Faith, and she can send that out to everybody. I'll just email it out to the board. We were, I think, the second lowest total tuition and fees. Many colleges, the state of Oregon allows obviously community colleges to set their own tuition and fees. There is no regulation on the kinds of fees that colleges can set. Many colleges will have really low per credit tuition and advertise that they only have $90 per credit tuition, but will have $60 per credit in 4 different other fees combined, right? We've been here, I don't know when the college decided to kind of consolidate into just a universal fee that really supports technology and those kinds of things for the most part, and then a tuition, per credit tuition. And they ranged, I think, from about 126, I think this year was the low. And they go all the way up to, I want to say it was 151, something like that. So there's quite a range in that, and we're still hovering down near the bottom. And I would say, I still don't think we'll be the lowest per credit institution, but I think we'll still be right there next to them. And again, as Rhoda mentioned, we're not raising to pay for books, but it is something that is not an expense on students that doesn't go into their budget, right? Because they get that money that money that they would have to spend from their grants and or loans that they would get, or scholarships that would go to textbooks, now goes directly back to the student. But I'll get you those exact numbers for current year. I don't, and then as I get more information from the business officers about what other schools are doing, I certainly can let the board know in my president's report what's going on with those kind of increases.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If you don't mind me putting you on the spot, do you feel like this would make a difference to you or other students that you know?
Like the increase in price, personally, for me, no, I do receive a Pell Grant and it covers all of my tuition plus more, honestly. But I mean, I'm sure it will affect some students, but probably not to the amount where it would be a deciding factor whether they could or couldn't attend or something like that. I feel like it wouldn't be too great of a impact.
I think I would appreciate, and I think the board would too, over the next, they won't take action on this tonight. So over the next month, as you meet with students and talk, if you can talk about this with students, I think that would be very helpful information. And if you would like, I'm happy to come talk to the students about the why behind increasing tuition and things like that. And I think that would be good feedback for the board. Next
I
month.
love that.
I can do that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And yeah.
Take an action next month.
Yeah, and it will impact some students. The good thing about this institution though, and our student services is that if it impacts a student, Rhoda will know, right? I mean, a student will know, they'll contact a success coach, there'll be a conversation. We hear those feedbacks all the time, and we would find a way to support that student. We do that all the time. So
all I see is that long line of students at the Mildred Davy luncheon. And, it kind of reminds us to send people back to some of those scholarship applications. So, yeah, it makes it feel pretty good moving forward. So.
Thank you. Anything else for this? No. All right. Well, we'll look forward to hearing more from you, Riley. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item F, discussion of the board schedule 2024-2025.
All right, well, I'll kick us off. The next 2 items actually are discussions about board schedules. Looks like we'll did I skip one?
Yeah, one will need an action.
Oh yeah, so I just got them in opposite order in the packet. But anyhow, I'll start with that. So the first, oh no, it is in the right order. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, that's right.
So item F, discussion of the board schedule 24-25. As you all know, you all appointed a new board member. That board member's work schedule conflicts with Monday night board meetings. To accommodate that, we would like to have a conversation about 2 things: the remaining board schedule for 24-25, so that we can work to accommodate that board member, and that would be the months of April, May, and June. Then So that's the first item, is to look at that. And I believe that a possible solution would be moving to the first Wednesday as opposed to the first Mondays of the month.
Yeah.
And I think that, fits with most board members' schedules and with Senator Weber's schedule that would, well, I should call her board member Weber's schedule, that would allow her to be able to attend. And so that would be item F, trying to figure out if that would take an action from the board tonight to change that. And we would just change, lots of time for us to change it doesn't really impact our timelines that much, other than being able to get things out and noticed, in time for that. And then the next item after that does not take an action tonight, but is a first reading of the board meeting schedule for next year, which will begin in July. We will have, because this is an election year, we will have a board meeting in July 2025, and that'll start next year's cycle. So that's it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, Senator Weber is on the State Transportation Committee, and it meets Monday and Tuesday nights every week through June. And she thought she would be able to miss the Monday night the first Monday of the month in order to join us. And so when we interviewed her, she didn't think it would be an issue. And then when we appointed her, she went to the folks and said, okay, well, I've been appointed to the board. And they said, oh, no, we need you here. You really wanted to be on this committee, and we need you on this committee, and we need you here. So she felt badly about it. She apologized. And I said, well, we'll work it out. We could excuse her for the next 3 months, which I don't prefer to do because she'd like to get started and I'd like to have her voice. So I think if we are able to change our meeting night for the next 3 months, that would be great.
Personally, I like Wednesday.
Yeah, me too. It's fine.
Well, and in April, it would change from the 7th to the 2nd, so it would still be the first week. The first Wednesday would be April 2nd.
April 2nd.
And then
That's also
May-
budget meeting, I believe.
oh, is it?
I believe so.
It says April 7th here.
Oh, the budget meeting or?
That is
30th
current.
will be the budget.
The 30th is the budget.
Oh, my bad.
It's
And then-
currently April 7th.
And then May, it would be the 7th, which would be 2 days after, and then June, it would be the 4th, again, the first Wednesday of the
First
month.
week.
So,
Okay.
But in April, it should be the 9th, right? Because it's.
no, because that'd be the 2nd.
It's the
That'd be the 2nd Wednesday.
It's the first Wednesday.
Okay, well, in here, it just says April 7th, so I'm looking at that.
The
April
first
7th is the first Monday, but April 2nd is,
Is the first
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah,
So then we would have the budget meeting on Monday and then we would have the board meeting on Wednesday.
No, no, the budget meeting's at the end of the month and the
April
board
30th.
meeting's at the first of the month.
But you would have the budget meeting on April 30th, and then you would have a board meeting on May 5th.
That's what that was, May 7th.
I'm sorry.
May 7th.
That
So I am going to be quiet.
We need a calendar right there.
So do we all agree that for the next 3 months, we're going to meet on the first Wednesday rather than the first Monday?
Yes,
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Thank you.
And I think, if it impacts any of the employees that are here, I'll just work with them to do it remote or excuse them from whatever.
Okay.
We have, if
Yeah.
changing on them.
Not everybody can change.
So does this get done by consensus or by motion?
This would take a board action.
Okay.
I shall move that we change to have our meetings for April, May, June, the first Wednesday of each month.
I will second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you all very much for your flexibility.
Thanks for all your phone calling and everything.
You're welcome.
That's a lot of work.
Well, I called individual board members. We couldn't all talk together outside of a public meeting. But we can talk to each other individually, just because I wanted people to be able to look at their calendars and not be surprised when we brought it up.
I
That's great.
appreciate it.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, item G, board meeting schedule for 2025, 2026.
So the schedule that we have in here would be the first Monday of every month, and it can be for you all to decide what you want to do with that one. It will start, so this schedule that is in here is for the first Monday of the month. If the board decides between now and next week or tonight, if you want us to bring what it would look like if it's on the first Wednesday of the month, we can bring that to the next board meeting for action, but the current schedule that's given here is the schedule for the first Monday of each month.
Does anybody, it's just been the first Monday, I think, the whole time I've been here, forever and
How long
ever,
is Suzanne in her transportation?
through June,
Okay.
just the next 3 months. Does anybody?
I like Wednesdays. Mondays are not my favorite day.
I don't really care.
Historically.
Monday was busy.
They are.
That's right.
Yes.
Is there any interest in entertaining moving it to Wednesday in the future?
I could be interested.
Well, possibly we could say we've got, a month to think about
Yeah.
it, and then we'll
Yeah.
maybe make a more decisive
I'm not
conclusion
opposed.
in the next month.
That doesn't impact me. I mean, I think with enough planning, we from our
Yeah.
employees can figure that out. I'm not sure if it impacts anybody at this point, but yeah.
So I'm curious about July and August. So July 7th, we would meet because it's a special election year.
Yeah.
Right.
August, it doesn't have a date and it looks like we wouldn't meet, but it's still a special election year. So
We don't meet in,
We know this.
typically you don't meet in July and August, and you meet in July every other year.
but we don't meet in August. Okay. All right. Looks good to me. I mean, if you change it to Wednesday, we'll manage.
Mary, Tamara, do you have any ongoing preference between Monday or Wednesday after June? I mean, into the future?
I can make either one work.
Yep.
I would say Wednesdays are marginally better than Mondays, but not important.
Okay, thank you.
I like that word marginal.
Marginal.
I do too. I have to go with that one. Wednesdays is good.
Okay, all right, thank you. So maybe you can check with staff and just see how that impacts people and if there are any advantages or disadvantages.
So I'll do this. So we will plan on bringing 2 tentative schedules, just so you can see them both, so we can have those mapped out, and with the in the interim time between now and what is now April 2nd, I will work with my team to see if that is a large impact on them at all, and bring that back to you.
Okay, great,
Just
thank
to
you.
inform the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, then let's move on to item H, which is curriculum approval.
Thank you. So I'm actually only presenting 2 certificates. I'm going to pull the EMS. It's not really in retrospect, a large enough package for a certificate. And then I had a really good discussion with the Higher Education Coordinating Commission Friday about the NA, and I need to regroup with Tiffany Slover, their Dean of Nursing and Health. So I will bring that back next month. So I'm just presenting 2 certificates. One is the Human Resources Assistant Certificate. So certificates are really valuable for students. It allows them to pursue something smaller and achieve that. In this case, it also leads to both an Associate of General Studies and an AAS in Business. And then human resources, we all know that every organization has an HR department. So I think it's really valuable for our students. The certificate itself has 1 new class, which is the business 225, which is applied knowledge and skills for HR professionals. And then this may be too in the weeds, but the BA 169Z is a new common course number course. It's the same course as our what the BA 131. So that's the Human Resource Assistant Certificate. And then the Workforce Readiness Certificate is really designed to provide a package in the form certificate for the soft skills. So if you talk to any business owner, they will frequently say what they really need more than anything else is someone who can show up on time, who can be responsible, who can interact with other people, who can be a good team player. And this is a certificate that allows that to be in a package for a certificate. Again, it also leads to the Associate of General Studies and or the AAS in business. And so I would welcome any questions and would welcome the approval for these. They've been approved by curriculum committee and by the college council.
Okay. Colleagues, any questions, comments?
Amazing. I mean, it's a lot of certificates to consider. I haven't seen any negatives.
Yeah.
To,
No, I think it's great. I agree. Research, you know it. Yeah.
yes,
No,
exactly.
there's no negatives.
No, I agree that this is, yeah, I move that we approve that.
Yes.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good work.
Love it.
Okay,
Well, can I just say, this is really Tom Atchison did the work, so I appreciate the thank you, but it was really Tom.
Well, good for Tom.
well, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to item 5A, mission fulfillment, employee engagement.
Awesome. Michelle's gonna bring up everyone's favorite PowerPoint. But we have some really cool projects for you to hear about. Less from me and more from some of everyone's favorite employees are here to talk about their work. And so we'll jump through my favorite diagrams. I won't even speak to them, but we'll just talk about the projects that are going to drive those. So yes, talking about mission fulfillment. We've worked our way, oh my gosh, through so many of our mission fulfillment metrics. We're talking about employee engagement. Cheryl, if you can move to the next, and we're just gonna like pop right through, no jokes are made. If you recall, we assess employee engagement. Well, we've assessed it in a few different ways, but as in terms of mission fulfillment, we use the Net Promoter Score, right? We use this simple question: how likely is it that you would recommend TBCC as a workplace to a friend or colleague? And then we look at the difference between the percentage of folks who are promoters who say heck yeah, and those who are detractors who are not so thrilled, but right. And that difference is the Net Promoter Score. And so we've increased from 22-23 to where we were -2 to 23-24. Might not seem like a big difference, but is a notable difference.
Yeah, it's great.
Right. And you recall, and we won't go through all of the data that we collected through the employee engagement survey that we did at our retreat in October, lifetime ago. Right? But we did walk through all of the data that we collected from employees about what their concerns were, right? And there were a variety of those concerns that centered around information, or wanting more information around benefits and concerns around morale. And Kylie's going to speak to benefits and such. We're going to hear about morale, and we're going to hear about Jen's-Bar. So Cheryl, take it away. So we're going to hear about 3 kind of projects that are designed to impact employee engagement. And Cheryl gets to go first.
We started a Jen's-Bar user group and affectionately called JUG. It's an attempt to get Jen's-Bar users across the college to understand better what they're using for a tool every day. So Jensivar houses everything we do. It's our payroll, it's our student tracking, it's our courses, it's everything in between. So by having more people across the campus understand the software better, they can hopefully better understand how to utilize it better so that it makes them able to be more productive and do their job, take some of the load off, because there's a lot of things that can be automated in it. There are a lot of processes that can be streamlined. And so it kind of works hand in hand with how do you do your job already and how can we make it better? How can we make it easier for you to accomplish those tasks and streamline how you do your work? And hopefully it'll also release some stress as well, because if you're not trying to hunt for things. Yeah. We've been using this since 2006. You would think we'd be pretty good at it, but since that time, it has changed. It has morphed as much as we have. So, and we never really bothered to try to make it important enough to learn the whole system. We just said, here's the software, use it. Very different from, here's the software, let's learn how to make it work for us. Quite a difference. We have someone from pretty much every department, which is really cool. And we hope to expand that as we move into different areas. As I said, Jensivar covers a lot of the processes we use. So we had, because we haven't taken this approach for so long, there are a lot of new things that are available in it that we've never taken a look at. Ways to automate processes that we do every day. So the first task we had to do was, where do we start? Student Services have been working on communication for a long time of how they communicate to students, and that was a Title III project. It's part of a broader communication project. So we all said Communication Plus seems like the perfect place to start. It's kind of got its own project, and we can start seeing some progress from it right away. So, oops, that's your only slide. Yeah. So, so that's where we're starting, and so that turned into quite a project. We thought that, or I thought, communication, I mean, we've already kind of started, how hard can it be? And then we found out. So we have the Student Services Group figured out several communications that they either do to students or want to with students. And it was kind of piecemeal, so they laid it all out. What needs to go out to students for week 0, before they get started, what do they need to know? The week 1, what do they need to know? And on through the list. And there's a lot of those that it would be really nice if it's a consistent message to all the students at a regular interval. And we don't want to, the first day of the term, you've just gotten, 60 emails because nobody realized that somebody else had already sent one. So we're working out the scheduling, the messaging, and then we'll automate it so that people don't have to remember, oh my gosh, this term's about to start, the students need to know this, I better get a message to them. It'll be sent out automatically on a regular basis, so they'll get that messaging. As we wrap that project up and get it automated and filled out the way we want, then we'll go back and review again and say, where do we start next? What's the next piece that we feel is really important and a burning project that we can start? It'll keep us busy for at least a year or so.
Sure. And so much of communications in term to term is kind of Groundhog's Day, right? Every term happens so quickly. You think 11 weeks seems like a long time.
but before you know it, you're back to week 0 or to week 1, you know, and you think, God, did I send that email? Or, you know, and I'm sure that's true for success coaches because they're sending so many emails to so many different students. And so you start that cycle again. And so automating those messages, making sure that every student is making sure they're getting that clean, consistent message, I think is going to be really helpful. The other thing I would say about this, which has been really cool, is having all these folks from different departments, like we've got so many different departments, but really like having so many folks in the same room learning all of this stuff together has been really helpful because you start to learn that there are folks who you don't expect have really great skills that you know and have a real technical eye that may not necessarily be in a technical kind of position, but really pick things up, right? Which I know Cheryl, I suspect Cheryl's like, ooh, hey, we've got to build those folks' skills because she may at some point want to slide out of here, you know? Okay, she needs to know who can pick up this stuff as she's, you know, sliding away. So, yeah, great. Next slide.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yes. And a great idea, Next is Kylie.
Sorry, I just get.
Yeah.
I'll have to see.
All right, so one of my main projects when I started was to increase access to our benefit information, basically all of the information for employees. So we have a version of the intranet that is my TBCC through Jenzabar, but employees have their own section, private section. So I was able to modify that, add as much information about our health care benefits, our retirement, just anything I could think of that would be easy access for employees to get to information. So there hadn't really been a hub of that before. So that was a fun thing to build and put together. So they're going to try and bring it up here, but basically just trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. I might have gone to the county website to look and see what they have because imitation is a high form of flattery. And then other colleges to see what do they have out there for their employees to get to. So because we do offer many options for insurance plans, we've got all those. It's actually more important than ever to have the links available to know what people have selected for their plans and be able to get access to that through OWEB. So our provider, and OWEB also has a ton of information and a wellness program and newsletters. So you can get all of that now on our website. And then there's also access to employee forms. That's good. Trying to make it user friendly and different to be able to look at. We've got a new section is for the supervisors that is on the right. And so that's just information of, hey, if you have someone joining, so there's little explanations of what the forms are. And Cheryl gave me what she needed for the supervisors so we can get new employees in the systems and also work with Jason so that for building access and keys and security so that they could get what they need from me and the new hire. Also any changes for current access, if there's a project that employees working on and need different access to Jenzabar, then that form will be able to help Cheryl make the changes needed for the system. And then if there is, and then we made it a new offboarding where people leave. We don't want to use that, it's a new one. But it's basically hitting all of the departments for, like, are they returning equipment? Are they returning books? Have they turned in their keys, their pass card, that type of thing. So that it's kind of a one checklist and it's for the supervisor and for the employee to sign off saying, here, I turned all this into my supervisor. So it's a form of accountability to get information and laptops, any equipment back, that type of thing. So that's our newest form. And then also there's a compliance information I saw on somebody else's site, and I was like, that's cool, so I stole all the links. Because they're basic, Oregon federal law, that type of stuff. But I thought these are all fantastic information. So put those in there. And then you can see we have a whole section for retirement benefit information for PERS. And also links for if you have a question, submitting a question, and other benefits as well. So, and new hires, I've let them know that this is new up here. So if there's anything that they're interested in or questions that they're looking for, let me know, because that's probably something that should be put on here. That's fun. I like making it user friendly and getting as much and usable so that everyone can pop in there and just go to where they need to go.
Thank you.
I like it. Employee information. Yes. And lastly, let's hear from the events committee. Get to the really fun stuff. Yes.
Oh, and the girls gotta show up my sad PowerPoint slides.
Like, if someone asks, creative.
Look at this, good.
That is fun.
I was asked to speak a little bit about the events committee, and we've just had a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great pictures me and taken, so. Lori is the lead of this group, but just kind of threw some stuff together and you can join this. So firstly, some benefits. It's been a great opportunity to socialize and form bonds with other staff, which is a great time to step away from the desk and get to know, especially some people like upstairs and downstairs. You don't always get to meet them. So it's really strengthened bonds within staff. It's really great for mental and physical wellness. And Angel brought up a good point too, along with these other ones, that it celebrates talents outside of those directly related to our work. So sometimes it'll be a workshop on like, maybe someone knows how to crochet and they'll share that, or music, or all sorts of things.
We've had a couple dance parties.
I love it.
We have?
Really?
Yes.
Well, darn.
I know. It's
I
been
love
fun.
dance.
Okay, you're invited to the next one. We'll let you know.
So taking a look back at the past year, we've had tons of events, so I'll kind of go through these rather quickly. But we had this one where it was 30 days, 30 acts of kindness, and every day employees were encouraged to do something towards this goal. And I think there was even like some gift card prizes at the end, and it was really fun. We'll go for it. April, we had to include this, the big cheese, grilled cheese, and I'll let you guess who is the next slide.
Gee, hard to guess.
That was a lot of fun. April, we had a salad bar potluck. We've done a few of these in the past, and it's bring your own bowl. It's a really nice chance to get some healthy food. May we did another similar calendar. This time it was a focus on self-care and wellness. So lots of fun things. Lori made these really fun calendars. May, we had our barbecue for end of the school year, and those are always fun. So go forward. In June, we had a couple different events, some casual ones like Move Your Floats, and then Spirit Week, which is always fun. We had different theme every day, and it was just great seeing people's wacky creative ideas. Even had campus grilled corn, which I think is pretty unique. It was pretty fun. So a lot of good use with the grill. School year kickoff barbecue, because we love our potlucks and barbecues. We had that in September.
We eat a lot here, huh?
It's a major staple, and some more great pictures. And continuing that, we had a heritage potluck party, and that was really cool. We asked people to bring something that is either special to their family or their heritage or both, and you get to learn a lot about different staff and their family. So that's always a really unique one. I think this is one of the most fun events, Winter Wonderland Extravaganza.
Because you won it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot. We do staff and faculty costume contest, hot cocoa potluck treat bar, and optional gift exchange. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. And I just have a few slides and some pictures of, everyone just really went all out bringing some treats, and it was amazing.
It's making me hungry.
Yeah, me too. We kind of just been sticking with that name. Nothing else seems to quite views.
That's like we already have been a man.
You guys are so cute.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
And then our famous costume contest.
That is fun.
That is so.
Good for you guys.
And then now into this current year, January, we had a mask decorating contest. This was really awesome because we had some students participate too, and it's been really awesome to see that increased engagement. So the next slide will show some pictures. We had, 2 students win and 2 staff, so that was really awesome to see all the creative ideas there. February, we had a casual cookie break and, just a chance to have some sweets, of course. So people brought in cookies and shared recipes. And then lastly, a few things that we started doing are lunch and learns, and this is really kind of outreach into seeing what staff can, what they want to share. So for example, Bailey did a common form professionalism workshop. Tom Wolf does a mindfulness one. On the next slide, we've got a few others. Our band did a music history slash just general history thing. Angel does dance breaks, and Katie Summers did a better balance workshop. It's really just a smorgasbord of amazing learning opportunities. And lastly, just wanted to throw up some quotes of, we asked people, what have you thought of the events this past year? And had a good mix of people just really enjoying the opportunity to connect. A lot of love for the mask decorating, holiday events, and just really getting to connect with other folks on campus. And that's that. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
I mean, there was no chart or anything.
I have a question. Does everybody get this on their TBCC email? To find out about what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Well, is there any chance for us to be included on that or?
You're feeling left out of all your fun.
Would it be possible to be?
Well, we actually have invited you guys to a few things. We often reach out to you guys to meet the judges and stuff like that, but it's usually will be a calendar invite, so you might see that pop up. But we can kind of integrate you a little more with when we send out flyers.
Yeah, I really enjoy the artwork.
Oh, I know.
For one thing, it's very enticing, very well done, yeah.
Good work.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to the presenters.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. Okay, let's move on to the ASTBCC report with Riley.
All right. For our report today, I just wanted to remind everyone of our top 3 priorities for the year. So we have food accessibility on campus, student involvement through things like events, clubs, and just overall building a sense of community. Like we've had some crafting type things, and then lastly, fundraising for those student activities and other engagement. And for a rundown of each of these things, right now, regarding our food accessibility goal, we're still working on our concessions proposal that we have been working on since basically the beginning of the year. And I just heard back from Carrie Fuller today about having a meeting with her to discuss some ideas and questions we have for her. And we're also open to other suggestions, and if anyone has anybody that we could reach out to for some help with that, that would be wonderful. And I know on the last board meeting, the one over Zoom, someone had sent something, asked if I had reached out to someone. I don't remember.
Something to do with the food truck, maybe?
Maybe, I don't remember, but if anyone remembers, then let me know, but I'm not that, it was just a reminder, I don't know. Anyway.
Was it about the public or environmental health? Was it about getting a permit?
I think so, yes.
Environmental health.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, we would definitely have to do that. Would have to go through that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has any. Anyway, moving on. For our engagement opportunities we have coming up, we are doing next week on Wednesday, the 12th, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the library, and also in these rooms here, we're gonna have some board games. And also in here, we're gonna have like some video tech games, and I think that'll be fun. And it's open to everybody, all the community, so
Recording in progress.
Right.
Better than the meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, please excuse me.
It's okay.
We are also planning to do like a Mother's Day type craft event, similar to like the Valentine's Day card making thing that happened downstairs for Valentine's Day last month. But yeah, and then for our last priority for fundraising, we're in the planning stages of trying to think of some fundraising things for spring term. We're planning on doing another paint night. We had one, I think, in January. That went pretty well. So we wanted to do another one. And we're also open for any suggestions if anyone has any ideas for any fundraisers we could do. And then other notes that we wanted to talk about. We have finished the revisions to our constitution, and we had that approved by the college council, and then we'll be looking to have that approved at a future board meeting. And lastly, at our meeting last week, we discussed your statement that you put out about racism, and I think students as a whole are looking to like people in leadership positions at the college to communicate with their students with like visual or like a written support for underrepresented students, students who are facing challenges during this time in just the world we're living in right now, especially Latino students and students that are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and anyone who might be feeling unsafe or targeted in the community or in their lives.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that is all for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a couple things. One is with accessibility, and more broadly, how can we help? What would you like from us? Do you want us to donate food? Do you want us to donate money?
We have like our plan right now. We have like a budget that we've worked on, and we're kind of just trying to make like the concession thing affordable. And so I think we have that budget, but we're planning on looking for like donations of like fridges and freezers and stuff like that for once like that gets more solidly planned and whatnot. So that was like the main thing we were looking for donations from. We were planning on talking to like Robies or grocery outlet. One of our members had that idea to like maybe have some kind of partnership with them. But other than that, just any suggestions or any resources that we could use to help further our plan. And we're working on a business plan right now. It's still under development, but yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I met with the student government beginning of the year, school year. And this is something that is meaningful to the student government to be able to try to provide affordable options for students to be able to have access to food outside of, food pantry kind of things.
And yeah, particularly like warm food that people can enjoy and just like kind of quick to heat up things like Hot Pockets or Top Rock or stuff like that. Just
I asked them they're working on a business plan and, tentative budget, things like that. And then we would work with our internal facilities to see what might be possible that we could do and the needs to engage further with the county if necessary with regarding, what type of food we might have or have access to.
Great. Is that instant pho from Costco? It is not that.
We from Costco and then like, but I love pho.
Yeah. So I asked last year if it was possible to set up a donation, an easy electronic donation. And I don't know if that,
It did happen and it kind of sat stagnant. So there is our new form to donate. We switched to Donor Perfect. So if you go to our website and then foundation, there's a donate now button. And you can click whatever dollar amount frequency you'd like, and there's a memo spot where you can determine where you'd like it to go. So if you just put in the memo, like do other, and then say, you know, if you wanted to go to ASTBCC, that's fine. You can pay with your credit card and then we'll just process it and then the funds will get transferred over to the group.
thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good to know because I think people in general and people in our community are very generous, but also really busy. So if you can make it super fast and easy for people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Construction update, Jason. Thank you for the tour.
Yeah, we had a great tour. A lot of the board was able to participate. We got out in the building, check out progress, which has been hot and heavy. Things are moving quick. So, HEB, mainly framing continues. The first floor is mainly framed. They've started the second floor. We got to see the new staircase that was framed to get to the second floor. We do the current outlook is for trusses to be delivered on Friday. We'll start rolling those trusses, setting the second floor. All the second floor walls are framed. They just need to be put up. So they anticipate that happening next few days, and then trusses on Friday, which is exciting because that'll give it the overall look and size and feel. We're hopeful by the end of March that the building is dried in and the roof is actually sheeted, and the building would be weather tight, hopefully by the end of March. We had our building envelope consultants out, and they're starting to do mock-ups on the exterior siding and weatherproofing. That's all starting to move forward, which is exciting. So we'll start to get the actual skin on the framing and start making it look good. So all things are moving very well. We hope by the end of the next board meeting, we'll be able to tour the first, second full floors, which will be really exciting. As well as start to see some cosmetic improvements like siding. Windows and doors are actually done and ready to go in, as well as the major skylights that go into the roof. So we're excited to see all that happening. CIT, we are just about through permitting. We have 2 of the 3 permits issued by the city of Tillamook. We anticipate the last one this week. We are ready to go to bid any day. We're just working with the EDA. The project has to go to bid for 30 days, which is a requirement EDA. And we're trying to get that window open so we can anticipate construction starting hopefully May, June, which would catch us up. We're anticipating about a 6-month project, which would put us in line trying to catch up to when HEB is finished. Have both buildings coming online for winter term next year. That is my report. If anyone has questions.
Thank you.
And I'd love to offer the board if you'd like to do another tour next board meeting prior to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to make that kind of a standing thing for the next few months.
Yes,
That'd be great.
making a big difference, in a month.
Well, especially since you promised us the trusses, the floor.
I know. But there'll definitely be a lot to look at every month. I guarantee that.
The weather will be
Yes, please.
warmer, yeah.
But we may want to put that as a standing invite.
Yeah.
So that way, certain board members can participate. And we can get everyone
We
through
did
it.
it at 4.
We did it
Perfect.
for.
Yeah. Thank you. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay. Financial report.
Oh, I get to dazzle you all again.
Very dazzled.
CFO Montazri was out ill last month, and this month, she is in Iran visiting family.
Oh,
She hasn't
wow.
seen in quite some time, so I will do my best to represent. I did Professor Weisenflug gave me after his review of my performance last month. I had a couple tutorials since then, and so hopefully I can do better. Green is still good, red is still bad. But if you look at our financials here, I want to point out a few things here, right? If you look at our beginning fund balance, that first line for 24-25, you can see that we budgeted our beginning fund balance this year, which is our ending fund balance from last year, right? Just to kind of put that in perspective, at 1.2 million. That is going to be more like 1.8 million. So we ended last year higher than we anticipated, and therefore that means we started this year off better than we would have anticipated. So that's the biggest difference there. A good bit of that is due to a couple things. One, we ended up getting more payments from the state than we anticipated, a larger amount of revenue from the state than we anticipated. There were a good bit of in the past, during that year, some unfilled positions. So a lot of that salary savings that from unfilled positions there. So that's good. What that means, if you look at it, is that our total revenue is tracking very high. We will have one more payment left to come from the state. So if you look at our total revenue so far, it's just a little bit less than 8 million. The next payment we will get from the state will more than make up for that difference that you see there. So we should have revenues actually that are higher than what we originally budgeted as well. Part of that obviously is going to be due to that larger beginning fund balance, but we're also seeing our tuition fees and interest tracking up greater than we thought we were going to have before. A good bit of that tuition and fee increase is, again, nursing program, the addition of new programs, and also the fact that we have grown substantially over the past year. So that adds to that overall per credit tuition and fees that we get there. And of course, the interest is just that we haven't, because of the timing of the HEB, we haven't spent down as rapidly as we anticipated, so we're earning more interest. Some of that, though, again, I'm not a real whiz on this, but we have a consultant attorney to do this. The arbitrage with public funds that are from public sources like bonds and levies. You can only earn so much interest off of that money. So we're wanting to be conservative with that, and have been, that we don't spend too much of that money, but we feel we're in pretty good shape. And the window that you get to use is longer than the scope of the project. So it all works in our favor in the long run anyhow. So that's good news for us. So you'll see that our revenue is looking really good. Our expenses also looking really good. All but one of them is less than where we should be relative to the percent of the fiscal year that's completed. Again, most of this is salary and benefits, most of our expenses anyhow. The one that looks a little out of whack there at 83%, that's transfers. The majority of our transfers were scheduled in the first half of the year. So we've gotten most of our transfers done. So we should be more than fine there. We are looking at ending fund balance this year higher than we had anticipated before, again, which is all good for us because it allows us to know that with unplanned cost overruns that we have, like we know we're going to be overrun. We've talked about already with the CIT building, right? It'll allow us to still maintain that project without question. We know that there are things that are going to come up with the HEB that we don't want to have to cut, and that we'll be able to manage there as well. So all in all, the financial picture looks pretty good. I did want to just give a kind of a glimpse into where we think we will be with reserves at the end of this year. I asked Sherry to give me a kind of a window into that. To give you an idea of what our reserve balances in 22-23, fiscal year 22-23, our reserve balances was right around 7.1 million. Last year, 23-24, we dipped down to 6.8 million in reserves. And it's looking like this year at ending year, because of in part of the ending fund balances that I mentioned before, we should be at about 7.5 million. So we're being able to build that back up. Now, I will warn you that 25-26 will be a different picture, right? Because the reserves, we have been saving for that rainy day, so to speak, right, with this. And we know that there will be anticipated drops moving forward over the next few years with some of our timber tax revenues that we get. So we know that we won't see the same amount of money coming in that we anticipate, that we typically put all of that into our reserves. And in addition, this is going to fund the CIT building, right? We also will fund with some of these funds here, once we are moved out of this building and redistributed into our other places, we do have a goal to look at the space usage in this building and have a little bit of money that we can spend to making this a little bit more operational. The good part about this building is that our facilities crew over the years, Pat and now Jason's crew, have done a good job of keeping this up, right? I mean, you wouldn't know that this building is over a decade old. And it really is in good shape. We are trying to absorb some of the costs that are going to come with upkeep and maintenance with HEB, but we also need to be able to make this more functional for the programs that are going to remain in this building, some of the instructional programs, and certainly student services are tripping over each other with, 4 people in an office and things like that. So we're going to let them go down to 3.
Bringing bunkers, stand up.
Yeah. So I think financially, I'm happy to entertain any questions that I couldn't possibly answer. But I do still feel that this college, unlike others that, I hear about the state and others that I have worked at, we have had a fiscally prudent board and senior leadership here. And it allows us to be able to make those investments that we see in really creating something different and special for our students and community here. So I'm thankful that you all have had that mindset in the past, and I'm happy to spend your money. So
I have a question.
Yes.
Transfers, an expenditure of transfers of what? Of students
No,
or
money. There's transfers in and out from general fund budget to other budgets, right? So this, what we're looking at here is our operational budget and not from other sources. So this would be transfers in and out from other sources.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You passed.
Yeah.
You're
Somebody tell Michael I did.
Yeah, we will. Thanks, Michael, you passed.
We didn't do his cheer.
What's that?
Michael's chair, he's infamous for endeavor celebs, credits the rights.
Oh, I okay.
He's
You didn't see that one?
with his classes every term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he's not here today, so.
Yeah, it's usually there. Ask him who's here.
Okay, well, if we don't have any questions, comments on the financial.
Yeah.
We can move right on to the president.
Please.
Great, thanks. Walk through this pretty quickly here. If you look at our winter term enrollments are still tracking up pretty strong. I think we're probably going to land somewhere up winter term in the 45% range, probably for winter term. Year on year, we're still looking pretty strong and tracking. I had estimated that we'll probably end up somewhere in the 550 to 560 range. I still see that as very possible. Mind you, we just hit over 500 3 years ago, right? So we're growing. We'll see this taper off right now because a good bit of this growth is our full-time nursing students in those cohorts. We do have some areas that we're going to be looking at and investing in moving forward. So that'll be good to look at that. We did have OPC this month. I'll be going again tomorrow for March. Most of our conversations are centering around these days the impacts of the executive orders and other federal noise or movements or whatever that's coming there. Again, I'll reiterate that while we're seeing the dominoes start to fall at other institutions as a result of some of the actions that are being taken at the federal level, we remain steadfast committed to our students, and the pledge, if you will, of sanctuary status, and that's guaranteed by the state, and to the extent that we can keep that and maintain that here, we will. I have met with with Sheriff Brown and plan to meet with the Pullman Police Chief. Again, just around what our expectations are with their involvement with federal authorities. And they are under the same laws that we operate under in the state of Oregon. And they don't participate, and we've been told that they will not participate unless they, again, have a valid signed judicial subpoena. Same rules we're under. Their only assistance they would give is if we called them because a situation was getting out of control here that we didn't think we could handle and it impacted the safety of our students or employees, and they would come help maintain safety, but they would not intervene in a federal action. Federal authorities, ICE agents, can arrest any individual, including deputies and police officers, that try to interfere with any kind of federal action. We have given strict information and instruction to all of our employees that there are 3 people that can speak on behalf of this college to federal authorities. That's myself, Britta, and Jason. And that they are to not interact with them, hand them we passed out cards that they can hand them that just say, I'm instructed not to speak with you. Here's a card with our contact information. And hopefully we could, if anything happened, I think the odds of that are slim, but not zero. We would, again, do our best to protect our students and to adhere to that. And I will continue to keep you all posted about any kinds of direction we get otherwise from the state. But it's been from both HEC and the state attorney general. It's status quo for us. If we felt like we were in compliance with civil rights laws before, and we still think we're in compliance, the laws haven't changed. So that's what we're operating under. And like, again, most of our conversations at the state level, and we've been having more routine meetings, weekly meetings with OCCA and Karen Smith, their counsel, about our, requirements and obligations. And Britta attends those. I attend when I can. Ben Cannon of the HEC has convened, and we meet irregularly, but all of the presidents or their representatives are meeting on a routine basis, again, to provide support to each other and discuss any kinds of actions that we may want to take. But again, I don't anticipate anything other than us just continuing to try to realize our mission. We spent a lot of time talking also about developmental education reform, transfer issues for students, and then have been working on, much like you heard, both College Council and ASTBCC talking about operation rules and operating rules. We've been looking at our rules, how we operate as a group within OPC, how we make decisions, what projects we fund, and things like that. So that's been pretty good. OCCA met the day after, more similar kinds of things, a lot of conversations again around what's happening at the state. I don't think there was anything, Betsy, if you want to.
No, I don't have anything specific about that.
Yeah, we will meet with our legislative group coming up Wednesday and Thursday. And we do have Wednesday and Thursday, the legislative summit. We have a good group going. Shannon and Betsy are going. We have Riley and Arceli coming as well, so we're really looking forward to that. And Britta and myself are going, so we'll have a good crowd. We have meetings scheduled with both Senator Weber and Representative Javity on Thursday, and a day full of activities on Wednesday that are pretty good sessions with legislators and the like there. So that should be a pretty good meeting there. Looking forward to that. Hosted a town hall. Well, we didn't host. I emceed a town hall with Senator Merkley and Congresswoman Bonamici, which was kind of entertaining. A week or so ago. Yeah, they're easy people to work with. Yeah. I will say I had been hearing a lot about the attendance of town halls, and I was really impressed. 450-ish folks crowded into Neoconi High School gym, crowded house, standing room only. I think both the senator and Congresswoman were really engaged with the audience. A lot of questions, obviously, around how they are navigating the sort of lack of engagement of the legislative branch of government in decision making, and what's happening with the Department of Government Efficiency, and the impacts there. Talked a little bit about the FEMA biological opinion about the floodplains and issues around that there. Again, just a lot of talk around the impact of federal actions. I think obviously both of our national representatives to the legislative branch are Democrats and in the minority, but they seem really passionate about trying to advocate for, and I think they have done a really good job advocating for Tillamook County, and will continue to do so. So I think it went really well there. Rural guided pathways, we're in. We were chosen, as I mentioned before, we applied for this a couple months ago. We were interviewed with one of the finalists. They chose 13 community colleges nationwide to be part of this second cohort, and we were one of them. Wow. If we're not the smallest, we might be the second smallest. Did you get a sense from that when we were looking at that data, Erin? We're one of those bottom two, but I'm not sure which.
They have us as the second smallest, but I don't trust their math. Because I think the way that they're counting. The way they're counting. Using, well, whatever, I can get dirty, but I think the way that they're counting, I think they're including our high school students as undergrads. And I want to talk to them about that, because I think we are the smallest.
And which I actually, it's going to be very engaging for us to be part of this group. So we have a core group that will go through this. So it's a little more than 2 years, 2.5 year long project of leading transformational change. It's really about trying to identify and implement best practices in a rural setting. And so it will be good to be in that community of practice around that, and hopefully we'll be able to get some walk away with plans in place to really help us move the work forward. This is not, I'm sorry.
How many are in that core group that are going through it?
So we will take approximately 8 individuals with us to each institute, and there are 2 institutes a year. Who all goes varies depending upon what the topic is. There will be 3 individuals that will go to all 3. Rhoda, myself, and I'm required to go to all 3. Rhoda's require all 6 of them. I'm sorry. I'm required to go to all 6 of them. Rhoda is required to go to all 6 of the institutes as our project lead. And I've also identified Eileen Casey White to help move some of this work along, because it does dovetail nicely with our Title III work that she helped manage for that. So those 3 will go to all of them. The rest of them, it depends. Sometimes we'll be taking community members that are part of workforce development, somebody like Heather Desart or something from Northwest Oregon Works. Some will be taking local business and industry folks. One of them will be taking some high school superintendents and principals with us. So it really depends on what the focus is, but it's all about aligning opportunity for students from entryway, whether that be high school or GED, ESOL, to a living wage job. And so some of it will involve a lot of curricular realignment to make sure we have that in place. Yeah.
So what do you think the criteria was for us to be one of the 13 community colleges in the whole country? You think it was just a great application?
I think it's a number of things. I think, yeah, I mean, clearly our awesome.
It's the board.
Yeah, it's the board. It was me, the board. We've worked with, I think that they know that we're sincere. So a couple things. They know we're sincere about doing this work. We've worked with them, the group that has secured the funding to be able to offer this. We have worked with them over the past 15 months from part of our Title III funding work. So I know we're committed to some of this work. I think there's something unique about TBCC that they've expressed. One, we're small. I mean, I think that was a draw for them that we were small. They're working to build out their representation in Oregon. There were 2 new colleges chosen from Oregon, us and Columbia Gorge. There were already 2 that were part of the program, Lynn Benton and Southwestern. So I think they wanted to invest more in Oregon. And some of their funding came from Ford Family, which is an Oregon specific group. So
4 of the 13 are from Oregon.
There's actually no, 2 of the 13 are from Oregon. Okay. There are 15, there's 28 altogether.
Gotcha.
15 are already 2 years into the project, and they're building us in as the next 13. They interviewed, I think they had about 30 some applications. They interviewed 19 colleges. They chose 13.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about this. It's not new work that we're doing. It provides support for work that we've already identified that we are doing. This will just help us be more effective at doing that work. So really, really excited about that work and moving forward and that'll take us, as I mentioned before, that'll take us through October 2027. Yeah.
Great.
Couple other things, just some March observances. It is National Women's History Month. I think that's kind of exciting to acknowledge and recognize that. That was been in place for not as long as you might think, but at a national level for Women's History Month, but it's in recognition of International Women's Day, which is March 8th, that has been around for over 100 years. So, excuse me. So I think we'll be looking at doing some things around here to celebrate the significant places in history, culture, otherwise that women have made in the United States and the world. Already mentioned the first 2 here, Legislative Summit at the end of the week or middle of the week. Our Rural Guided Pathways at First Institute. 6 of us will be going to that. That's March 18th. I cannot, that North Coast Throwdown's coming. That's our cornhole tournament. Saturday the 22nd.
Of March, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get registered. You and Brian need to be a team.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a lot of fun.
In there, yeah.
And I guarantee you that since I will be playing, you will not be the worst person. And then lastly, as you know, that the Higher Education Coordinating Commission has been, or maybe you don't know this, but they made a commitment to try to be better communicating and have stronger connections with each of the member colleges, and they've been visiting each of the member colleges. We had to reschedule this visit to March 24th, and Vice Chair Greg Heyman will be joining us. Greg's an interesting person to have come join us. He was a president at Clatsop Community College quite some time and was president at Lynn Benton Community College for also quite some time. So he loves community colleges and has some strong connections on the coast, so that would be good. Lastly, just a couple thank yous. I want to thank the entire facilities and safety team. Been doing a lot of work with Brandon Affolter in particular, one of Jason's team members, been doing a lot of work on some of our internal safety communications, has been making sure that what do you call those boxes? Visiplex communication works. We've had a couple of tests and drills on that, installing some emergency button kinds of things in critical places around campus, just to try to make campus as safe as we can for the people that work here and go to school here. So that'll be good. And then lastly, I would like to thank, I mentioned Eileen already, but and I don't know that she's on. She's usually on, but she's not on, but
Was earlier.
yeah, she's worked for the college off and on in a variety of settings and has done a really good, been a good supporter of the college in a lot of our initiatives, not only just Title III, but she's helping us with our dual credit programs. I've asked her to take on some work with a Rural Guided Pathway. She's also helping with some apprenticeship curriculums, and she does have a lot of experience in workforce development areas as part of a former job. So kudos to facilities and safety and also Eileen, and that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Paul,
Yes.
you mentioned coming on campus for the head vice chair.
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
March 24th.
And what time is that?
He's asked to meet with the board. You recall off the top of your head, Lori?
No, let me get there right now.
I
Sent out the invitation, but it is.
might be 2 o'clock or something. That's
It is 1:45 to 2:30.
I'm sorry,
1:45.
1:25?
45.
1:45 to 2:30, March 24th. If anybody's available, that would be great. And I think Lori sent out a calendar
Yes.
alert.
Yeah, I did.
And we can do that, we can send out a reminder, but that would be good. We were gonna meet, we had originally had this scheduled in February, I think, and we were going to meet prior to the board meeting, but the person coming up became ill, didn't make it. Higher education coordinator, Vice Chair Gray Hammond.
Yes. Thank you. And what time is the cornhole tournament?
Yeah, starts at 11. And then it's two practice rounds and double elimination, so you've got ample opportunity to set up as a team. But yeah, or you can just come as spectate. I'd love to have teams though. Yeah.
Okay. Looking for teams.
And you can drink beer all afternoon.
I've
heard that.
Pelican, it's
Yeah,
making
beer.
some beer.
Pelican is.
Where does it take place?
At the fairgrounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fairgrounds and the skating rink area.
That's right. And how late does it go? It's 11 to what?
11, it just. Yeah. You could say like probably 3 or 4.
What's that?
Oh, but the good players are playoff into the big.
I will tell you this. Two years ago, Michelle and I were on a team and we came in first. Now that was first one's out. And I think we only played for how long was it? 45 minutes or something like that?
That's
Good thought.
It is all for good thought. The support's career to career.
That's awesome.
And we're sponsoring some TBCC teams. We hope to have some folks there playing, and yeah, it'll be a lot.
Is there gonna be an EXTBCC team?
I was just thinking, maybe I can ask everyone on our meeting.
Get them there, talk to Britta, we'll pay your interest.
I'll talk to them.
Yeah, good idea. Okay.
No ringers though. You gotta, there are some good ones there.
Yeah, there's some really good players.
Okay.
They're like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Seriously. All right. Well, moving on to board member discussion items. I need to tell the board it's time for us to do the annual presidential evaluation. So I will soon be sending you President Gerald's self-evaluation and his goals. And I'll send you the tool. And when I send it to you, I'll give you a week or two to fill it out and get it back to me so that we can have an executive session before our next meeting. So maybe we can meet with Jason at 4 and then when we're done with the tour, have an executive session before our next board.
And I will have that to you by the end of the week, so you can send that out and give everybody ample time.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any other board concerns?
And not a concern, but this radio station, when are we gonna discuss that? And I mean, it sounds like you are in favor of it. Do you think we have the staff and the money and the blah, 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 you know?
I think we could put a business plan in place that would be able to support the operations. Yes. I do.
Great.
Yeah, and then, so it's just a matter of if the consensus of the board is they don't see an issue with it, I will just continue down this path of trying to see what that would look like and then take a look into the next steps to be able to move forward with it. I don't think it takes a board action for us to enter or to have KMUN do what they need to do with the FCC to transfer the license, but if it strikes me that it seems to be generally supported by the board, I'll plug away at it.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have a consensus on that? I think we do, but.
Yeah,
I support it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah.
And Mary and Tamara, they've spoken support, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have anything else? Additional board concerns? Yeah, we're also hungry. Okay, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you. So he's been a very.
Playing.